we are still on AWS. This time around, we want to look at a storage solution. That's the Elastic File System. Okay, so I wouldn't check from here. So because I've already visited this place, that's why I have it here. So where do we find it? Let's go to Services. Let's go to Storage down here. You can see EFS, right? Elastic File System. So now, with Elastic File System, what do we get, right? They say it's scalable, it's elastic, cloud-native NFS file system. Okay, now let's look at some of the benefits and features, right? For us to really understand what the EFS can do for us. With EFS, we can have resources shared between servers, right? Regardless of the availability zone. Unlike when we were looking at Elastic Block Store, where we are limited by the availability zone, right? So with this, we can have resources shared between different availability zones, right? So now let's look at some of the benefits, right? They say it's dynamic, it has dynamic elasticity, right? So what does that mean? So they say we simply create a file and start adding files with no need to provision storage in advance, right? So when you are setting up the EFS, right, you do not need to specify how many gig you need, right? By default, it comes with 6 kilobytes, right? That's small. So as your use sets in, the more the capacity you get, right? So if you have need for just 3 gig, you won't get 10 gig. You only get as you need, okay? So that's dynamic elasticity. Scalable performance, right? So it's highly scalable. For the most demanding workloads, Amazon EFS can support performance of over 10 gig per second. So it's highly scalable and it's fully managed, right? It's a fully managed service providing shared file storage system for general purpose workloads, right? As I mentioned earlier, we can have resources shared between servers, even in different availability zones, okay? So now shared file storage. So you see, we can have that storage and we can still have these sharing capabilities. So that's that on that. So let's look at how to create an EFS, right? So we'll come here, we create file system, okay? So we can call this EFS, let's say EFS test, right? Okay, so default, select default, right? So it is possible you say you want to limit yourself to an availability zone, right? Maybe due to cost requirements, you can select a particular availability zone you want, right? For example, the files, the servers I'm working with, we are in US East 1B, right? I could have chosen, oh yes, that location, right? But let's explore the different possibilities we have with EFS, okay? So want to select standard, right? So we click on create. So you see, it is creating, just gonna take a little while. Okay, now it's a success. You can see, it shows that it's available, right? See what I talked about earlier, 6 gig, the initial availability at default, as default, right? So want to click on this to see the options you have, right? We can see monitoring, you can see tags, you can see we don't have a system policy set up, so nothing was found. Access points, right? You can see network, right? So right now, you can see it's still creating. Then once it's created, we'll see a security group set up here, which will be the same across all the availability zones, right? So let's see what we get. So I expect to see the same security group all across. So what it means is that the security group we get here is the security group for the EFS, right? So let's see what happens while it's creating. But while that is going on, let's go and see the servers we have, right? So this is the servers we have, the terminals. This is where we want to have it. This one ends in 175 and this ends in 142. Let's just confirm that that's what we have running on AWS. So we have one ending in 142, okay, 142, and we have the other one ending in 175, okay? So we are fine. So what else do we want to check while this is still creating? Let's see what we have on that network. Let's see whether it's been fully created. Okay, now we have them fully created. You can see the security groups. You can see what we have for security group ending in 45 EB3, 45 EB3, 45 EB3, 45 EB3, 45 EB3. So that's the default security group, right? That has been signed. So what do we do? Now that we have the security group, so we want to go to security group. So we have this open, we have this. I want to keep them open the way they are. So I have another one here that I can use. So let me go and check security groups. Security groups. I want to see that security group in particular and do something to it, okay? So this is the security group. Okay, this is the default security group, right? This is what we have here. We have this default security group. It ends in 45 EB3, right? That's it. Let's see whether any other one ends in 45 EB3. None. So we can safely say that is it. Aside that, that's the default, right? You can see that's the default. So we want to come in here, right? Once we come in, right, you can see this is the inbound rules. So we want to edit inbound rules. So let's edit inbound rules. So let's add a rule, right? So what are we trying to add now? We are trying to add a port, right? And trying to link the security group that we have for our, you can see the security group we have here. That's wizard 30, right? That's the security group we have. Launch wizard 30 for this guy. So we want to come up here and what else we want to do? We want to come up here and set this up here under security group. We want to add a rule. So we want to open, let's see what NFS. Let's open NFS, put NFS 2049 and open. Let's allow the security group, right? The security group. So we align the security group, okay? So let's see the other one. The other one is test 2. So I want to check for the security group. And we want the security group to communicate, right? We want it to communicate with the security group of the EFS. Remember, this is the security group we are trying to link the instances to, right? This is the security group for the EFS, right? Elastic file system, which we have open here, right? And we are trying to link the security groups of our instances to this security group, okay? NFS, let's look for NFS, okay? So I want to put this here as well, okay? So I think they are the same, let's see, for 30, okay? Wizard, launch wizard 30, okay? They are the same, coincidentally for test 1 and test 2, they have the same security group, okay? So you might want to delete that, one of them, right? Because they are the same, right? So you can delete one of them and save rules, okay? So now we've saved rules. It's possible that we have different ones, so we can set them up that way. So we save rules, okay? So now that we've saved this, you can see NFS, TCP, 40, okay? So now this is fine. So what else do we want to do? Now, we want to go back to EFS, right? This is where the work is, okay? So this is where the work is. So we want to click on attach up here. So once we click on attach, right? So we want to use this to mount, okay? We want to mount via DNS and use this to mount. So, but firstly, let's look at the user guide so that we can get appropriate direction, okay? So user guide, we click on that. So let's see what we have. So we are not trying to use the mount helper, see mounting file systems without the EFS mount helper. So this is what we want to look at, okay? So what do we need to do right now? So what we need to do is to come in here and installing the Nfs client. That's what we want to do. Says we should connect to our instance using SSH. We've done that. Okay. Optional, get updates and reboots. I don't want to do that. Okay. So I want to install the Nfs client, right? So now it says for Amazon Linux EMI or Red Hat. Okay, so Red Hat is what I have. So I want to use this. If you have Ubuntu or any of these other ones, you can use this command. Okay, so this is what the command I want to use. So I copy that. And I go to my servers that I have open. I want to run this here. I want to run this here. Okay. So I want to run this here as well. Okay, so now that this is ongoing, so let me see the other options. What have I been advised to do? Let's look at step. Okay, so now this one says I should run this command for Red Hat 7. No, what I have is Red Hat 8, so I want to use this command. Okay, so after doing this, then you say we should check that this service has started, right? So you should be extra cautious here at this point. Okay, I've taken this. So I want to run this command, start, okay? I come to this place as well. I run this command, start, right? So let's look at the next step. So this is where you need to take some extra caution, okay? So look at this step 6, right? It says copy this command, right? We are tempted to copy this, right? But look at this. This has to do, look at this, NFS starts, NFS status, okay? But what I used for mine is NFS-server starts. So here, I want to use sudo service NFS-server status, okay? So that is what I want to use. I don't want to run this command, okay? So if I run this command, I'm going to get an error, and I'll think I've been doing it wrongly, okay? So I want to just pick the previous command and change this to status, right? So this went well. So let's see this guy too. Okay, let's see this guy. Status. Okay, that went well. So now that we've done this, Q to quit. Let's see here as well. Q to quit. Okay, now that we have this, what should we do next? Okay, let's see what we've been told to do. So it says, next, mount your file system. Okay, mount your file system. So let's go back to where we're coming from, right? We can close this. So mount your file system. So I want to use this to mount. But now let's look at this properly, right? It says we should use this to mount. But now I want to mount on where? Remember when we're looking at the Elastic Block Store, you know, we needed to mount on something, right? And we needed to create that something that we need to mount on, right? So this time around, then we mounted on data, right? But this time around, you can see this is where we want to mount on, EFS, right? So we need to create EFS, okay? So we make a directory on each of the servers and call it EFS, right? We can say, where do you want to make this directory? We want to make it under root, right? And say sudo mkdir /EFS, right? /EFS, okay? So we want to make a directory and call it /EFS, right? So absolute, that's the absolute part, /EFS. So click on, okay, so we've made this directory. So let's go and make the same directory on the other server. So we've created a directory. Okay, now that we made this directory, so what next should we do? So it is now time for us to mount. Okay, now there's a command for mounting. Okay, let's pick this command. Let's pick it and look at it carefully. You can see it says mount on EFS. This is not /EFS, right? You can see there's a distance between here and here. So this is definitely not /EFS. This command would have worked well if we were, let's see. So what we need to do for us to use this command as it is, it means we need to switch to root, right? For us to run it as it is. But if we are running from our current location, right? Let's look at our current location. Where are we? You can see EC2 user home, right? So, and if we want to mount and we say this, do we have any directory called EFS in the home of EC2 user? No, we do not. The directory we created it in the roots, right? So what we need to do is to come here, otherwise we go to roots, okay? There are two options. We can go to roots, right? And go to EFS, where we created, to run this command. Alternatively, if we are running from here, so this is what we'll do. We'll put / before the EFS, okay? So that it mounts, okay? So it's been mounted. So let's do the same thing over here. So let's mount. Let's copy the command again. So we can use the alternative method this time around. We can cd, right, to root. So now we are in roots, okay? You see, we want to do it differently from the way we did it earlier. We've gone to roots, okay? So once we are in roots, right, we can now mount on that server. Once we are in root, okay? We can now mount on that on root, right? Because we are in root now, we don't need to use the /, okay? So copy, okay? So once we copy, we come here. So this time around, we are not using absolute part, we are using relative parts. So we come here and run it. So the same thing, we've achieved the same thing. Okay, so now what can we do? So let's sudo su, so make our life easy. Let's switch to root, okay? Let's switch to root. Okay, now that we are in root, let's cd to EFS, right? What do we have there? There's ls, or ls dash a. Okay, let's see what we have there. ls dash a, do ls dash a. This is all we have. Okay, so let's ls dash a here. So you can see this is what we have. So we have these two root files. Okay, so let's go to the other server as well. You can see this is all we have here at the moment. Let's come here. Let's sudo su. Okay, you can choose not to put root. You can choose to put root, and we can choose not to put root. So let's do something else here. Sudo su takes us to root. Let's cd to /EFS, right? So we are doing the same thing in different ways, right? So let's ls-al, okay? So let's see what we have. See, so this is all we have right here. So what do we want to do? Okay, we have EFS installed, right? So what we want to do is let's make a directory. Let's create a file, okay? Let's say, let's vi into a file called my EFS file, okay? My EFS underscore file. Okay, let me just call it my EFS underscore file, okay? So this is the file I want to create via into this file, and I say this insert, okay, insert, okay, this is our test file, okay? So when we do this, we want to save it, escape, colon, WQ, okay? So now, if I do ls-l, okay, ls-al, okay, let's see what we have. You see we have 3 files, right? We have we have these directories and this file, right? This is what we just created. So let's see what happens when we check here. ls-al, okay, let's see. You can see we have the same file duplicated here, right? So that's the beauty of EFS, Elastic File System. So that is it. We can change permissions to allow users on the other server to also have access to make modifications to the file, right? So we can do show mode, right? We can say 777, right? We can change mode 777, right? For this file, okay? If we want others to have, right? So once we do that, let's see ls-al. So you can see this is this file here that we just created. Let's see under the other user, ls-al. Let's see what we have. You can see this was what we had before, okay? So let's see what we have now. You can see the permission has been updated. I'm sure you had a great time. So see you in another session as we explore the storage system in AWS. Thank you for your time.